What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the stream. Today is a little bit different. We are going to have a little rapid fire. Not a lot of fluff in this one. We got a busy man. He's got things to do. We have a big week coming up with Art Basel, and I'm sure a lot of pudgy stuff and abstract stuff. Looking forward to it all. So, without further ado, Luca, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good. Just got back from a family cruise to celebrate my mom's birthday, so I'm ready to be locked in and start killing it.
Nice.
So,
You've been holding down the abstract trenches. We appreciate you.
yeah, look, someone's got to do it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been dabbling a little bit here and there. Honestly, mostly just kind of stacking up stuff since there's not a ton of volume right now. I've just been picking my winners, letting them sit, letting them cook. But all right, let's chat. What's going on? Okay, if you haven't already, go make sure you retweet the stream on X or go get people in the abstract stream. It's gonna be a good one. So we're gonna cut through the fluff. I want to ask you a big question out the gate. Recently, we've seen a resurgence of the ICO meta for chains, right? Mega ETH raised, through a public round through different mechanics, and then Monad raised hundreds of millions through a private round years ago, and then they did a public round through Coinbase's new ICO launchpad. Now, back in August, you had said that the abstract team was working on a massive portal update that would change the entire experience. But you also said alongside that, we'd see a huge fundraise announcement with that. So, what can we expect in regards to the abstract fundraise? Is that still happening alongside the Portal V2 update? Will there be an ICO included in that raise? And then, maybe we could talk about TGE, but I know that answer kind of eludes us.
Yeah, I think our number one priority, I think first step before we get anywhere is Portal V2. Once we get to Portal V2, I think we're going to kind of, I think we did this thing a little bit at Abstract where it's Pudgy Penguin's lore, but like we gave a little, it's called Sunium. So it's almost like hopium or like it's like injected in your veins type of like you kind of like drag people along a little too much. I think we got really good at Pudgy Penguins to avoid Sunium to a certain extent. I feel like on the abstract side, we put a cart. We specifically me, I put the cart a little bit before the horse in certain moments. I think right now we're just really focused on shipping chronologically and then like addressing, what it looks like after every big shipment. The first big shipment in front of us is Portal V2, and then everything else is really up to us to kind of just figure out based on the feedback of Portal V2. I think we kind of got into this like a little bit of like a dark silo there for a sec, working on Project Quantum, working on a couple other things that I think people will see the light of day sooner rather than later. Um, but we weren't like really just like leaning into what the community wanted, which is like kind of interesting because the Igloo company is usually really good at that. Um, but it's a different build. Building an ecosystem like Abstract is unique to say the least. A lot of learnings, and I think we're really starting to catch a groove. So to avoid myself shooting myself in the foot and to just align expectations, like first ginormous thing you're going to see from us is Portal V2. That's the number one focus for us. Rebranding it, having it stand on its own so that people really understand the vision of where it's going to go. I think Portal V1, had a really great consumer journey, really great 0 to 1. But I think it's time to take the product to the next level. Building a product like what they're building is not easy. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources, and I know they're giving it their all. So I think for the sake of this conversation, what's right in front of us is Portal V2, and the rest is yet to be seen. Obviously, you've probably seen me on some interviews over the last couple of weeks. The ICO meta is interesting. I'm still pretty convinced that no matter what we do, like I'm always about rewarding, early believers, the biggest supporters. I believe that, people support and people, championing and participating on the chain in a really big way is them almost like earning, to a certain extent. But I also see the value in the ICO meta, but I do, I can't really speak about like where that puck is ultimately going to fall. But I will say that I think in my non-bias, remove myself from the equation, remove abstract from the equation stance is I like the idea of like a hybrid model. I do think Monad was accurate in that take. You know, I also like ICOs at cheaper FDVs, right? That's just me. Like
Yeah.
I like this idea that people can really go and get like the beauty of the ICO craze in 2017 was, you could smack a 20x, a 10x, a 5x. Right now we're just like we're stoked to get two. And I think that's great, right? But that's just like my non-bias, remove myself from the equation stance. I do like the idea of both. I do like the idea of both, and I think more teams I think you're going to see in the future are going to do both. It makes to me a lot of logical sense in terms of understanding all interests of all parties involved.
Yeah, that makes Monad for me. I kind of agree. I think it was tough at the gate because of the high valuation, but it seemed to following that same pattern that most of these TGs happen, right? Where sell off originally, people grave dance, and then they start regretting grave dancing a little bit. You mentioned something that I thought was interesting, and it's kind of a hot topic whenever I try to talk about abstract to other people. One of the most polarizing things about abstract to most people is that when I speak to them, is that abstract is the pudgy chain, right? They aren't able to see it as a standalone product, like you said, to stand on its own 2 feet. Um, it's a double edged sword, right? When Pudgy and Pengu do really well, Abstract seems to follow suit a little bit with that. But then when Pudgy and Pengu go through a hard period, a cold storm, a blizzard, Abstract follows suit a little bit with that too. And I'm curious in trying to understand your perspective on that, and if you think that's a challenge that needs to be overcome.
It's definitely a challenge, and I definitely see that barometer. I would argue though that when it gets bad, abstract doesn't get as bad. And when it gets good, I think abstract gets as good. So it's like I will say like when Pengu's, and maybe there's a little caveat to that, but I will say the barometer leans a little more bullish than it does bearish. But I will say that there's definitely that correlation. I think it's just up to us to, you know, really succeed in the mission that we're set out to succeed, which is like actually, build a chain with huge workloads and, tons of enterprise products and teams, building on top of it. And if it was Pudgy Chain, it would have been named Pudgy Chain. I think like there is a beauty of this Igloo ecosystem though. And like, one thing that I think a lot of people forget is the abstract community is in a good spot relatively. Like we gave $100 million in Pengu to abstract community. I did the math recently, just like refresh my memory, is like 90 something and some change. Right. And that was like most people were only in the community a couple weeks, a couple months, 2 months max. And so there's benefits to that. But I would say that like if we can't break out of that bubble, we're not doing our job. And this thing is not achieving enterprise success, and it's not breaking through and competing with base the way that it should be and it needs to be. And ultimately, I really look at, I would love to be the guy to snap my finger and to be competing with base tomorrow. I really look at things though, like from a time horizon. I've always been very time oriented when it comes to like my competitive nature. And so like I look at base's first year, I look at our first year, I like how we're tracking, right? But it's this next year is going to be a very important year for us, right? We went through our going pains, we went through our FUD, we went through our ways of building and seeing how that didn't work or how that some parts might have worked. This second year, and just like base was very, it wasn't an impressive first year by any means. But their second year, they started to hit that trajectory, that velocity. And it's going to be up to us and for the community and for the space to hold us accountable. But I do think we're doing this the right way, right? Like there is a world where we could have just done a token and we could have just done it this, I hope at least the people watching are seeing and at least appreciating and respecting the fact that we're actually trying to compete and we're actually trying to build and we're actually trying to do things, in a way that's going to benefit everybody the most. And I believe in this, specifically the abstracts team ability to actually get this job done. And I think we have some aces up our sleeve. I think you guys will see those sooner rather than later. Again, sorry for the Sunium, but yeah.
I look. I don't mind the Sunium. I think I think we're a little overdue for it. I, you
I will
spoke
say this
about.
whole ZK narrative is great though for abstract. Just a little alpha for the abstract community, right? Like we took a very unorthodox bet building on the ZK stack. At the time, everyone was building on Optimism and Arbitrum stack, right? And that was like the go-to scaling solution. We knew ZK was the future. Saigar was like, dude, this is for sure the best technology. Everyone's going to go here. It's not if, it's when. We did a very contrarian thing going here. And just for the sake of like future speculation of future value, like I actually do really believe that like things that are going to be built on ZK are going to yield a premium versus things that are not. So I think that, in hindsight, I am glad that we're in a little bit of a position of strength, at least on the technology side. But sorry, I interrupted. I just wanted to
No,
bring.
I look. If you want to interrupt as much as you want, get some alpha, get some hype. I don't mind it. You brought up base, and this is probably the biggest conversation when it comes to abstract in totality. There's so many chains launching these days. We even in we spoke about Monad and we spoke about Mega ETH. When people are looking at the chains and they're looking at what the motivation is, what the incentive is to go and participate on a new chain, because it's spread out, it's fragmented so much, money spread across so many ecosystems now. Why, when someone looks at abstract and they're thinking, why do we need another L2? Why would I bridge money here? What do you say to those people?
I think you have to appreciate the opportunity and the upside of the potential build, right? And so like I know everyone's Mega ETH aligned, and I think those guys are great, but like there's nothing to do on Mega ETH. It's not live. Monad was not live. Like these guys are gonna go live when their token is live, right? Mega ETH is a little unorthodox because they're an L2, and I think they technically can be live. And maybe don't quote me to that because I don't follow them as much as I probably should. But the point of the matter is like we're not waiting to be live. Like like there's a difference between, I think, building a chain, right? Like the speculation around base, right, is when base launches is a $30 billion token. And as somebody who really studies tokens and understands all this stuff, that's a good underwriting valuation comparatively, right? If you comp it. And so base, the difference between base and everything else, right? Like why isn't Monad's valuation 30 billion? Why isn't Mega ETH's valuation 30 billion? Is because they worked many years, shipped it, mainnet live, and built it so that when it was a clear number 2 or number 3 or number 4, right, that it had the premium of the top 3 blockchain, right? Because it's impossible to refute. All the metrics support that, right? So these blockchains, 3, 4, 5 billion, like, dude, I believe just with our industry knowledge that we can go and launch abstract at a couple $1 billion. There's no doubt in my mind we could do that with the brands, with the people that are building, with our presence in Korea. Like, I am very confident in doing that tomorrow. But already have a thing that's going to, on that trajectory that's doing that already. Like, let's actually go and try and see if we can go and hit the 20, $30 billion kahuna. And obviously that's super hard, but that's like, I think the difference in the bet that you're making, right? Like the difference in the bet that you're making as a user, if you're focused on the reward side, right? Like let's just speak to the elephant in the room, which is like potential upside and personal, gratification. Obviously, why somebody I think should be, I think our, let's just, before we go into that, I think our consumer journey is better. I think our product is better. I think, the infrastructure that is being built, the products that are on top, I think are up there with some of the top chains. Like, I don't think there's many chains, unfortunately, that are that competitive in their ecosystem, that are that competitive in their product. And if you look at abstracts, like, I think it's up there with some of the top chains in terms of product integrity and ecosystem integrity. I really, you can make your own assessment there. I believe that to my core. You can make that assessment. If not, I'll tell you, I've poked around every blockchain. There really isn't much to do. I can find more to do on abstract than I can, 90% of the blockchains, 95 probably, right? I think there's probably 4 or 5 more blockchains that I can probably do a little bit more on. But so through that retrospect, but as a user who's like, speculating and indexing on potential rewards and upside, like the way that I would underwrite it if I was them is I would just be like, these guys are going for the biggest swing, right? Like they're we can scheme, we could have done pre-deposits. We could have done, all the metrics could be through the roof. I could have got all the mercenaries involved, and we could just be rushing, to a $2-3 billion TGE, and everyone can dump and then be out, and then the ecosystem die. Like, that is a very easy thing to execute on, especially when you're talking about a group who's executed on a TGE at the highest level. I think nobody would refute that the Pengu TGE was executed at the very highest level that we've ever seen. And we've learned so much since then. So I think abstract TGE, if we were to do it right now, it could be just as good, if not better. Right. But the thing is like, we're not going for that playbook. We're actually going and trying to see the 30, 40, $50 billion upside and saying to ourselves, like, if we're going to do this, we might as well try to fucking go and swing at that. And if it doesn't, and if we can't after, however long, then we have a playbook and we have our learnings and we know how to, cook it up. But we're not, that's not the type of builders we are. I really appreciated that about Saigar and the Frame team at the time, that's a part of this. And like, we're actually trying to win, and we're actually trying to compete and swing big. We're not just trying to like launch a $2-3 billion token. Like, that's very easily doable, I think, from our lens and our perspective. But we see, JP Morgan solidified that with the $36 billion underwriting, but like, they're right in that valuation. Like, base is nothing south of 20, nothing. It's impossible, and that's what you got to be striving for, right? If you're building, like, I don't want to go build to be top 60 on the, coin market cap leaderboard. I want to be top 20, like, I think it's possible. I don't know why it isn't, especially when I look at it, and it's hard. Don't get me wrong. And I've learned the hard way. I've been humbled respectfully in this blockchain business that it's actually really hard to build a blockchain. But I'm telling you, man, it's doable. It's achievable, right? I would have already deflected and probably started playing. I'd have a different messaging already by now if I thought it wasn't achievable. I think it's very hard, and I think we underestimated how hard it was. But I don't think we've learned from that and thought to ourselves, yeah, well, we can't do it. It's so hard. It's like, oh yeah, we can do it, but it's going to take a little more elbow grease and a little more pain than we thought it would. But launching a $30 billion thing, if you can launch a $30 billion thing easily without severe pain and frustration and trials and tribulations, then everyone would have done it. And so that's kind of the spot that we're at today.
Yeah. I mean, I'll agree with you. The other day I had a conversation with, and it's hard. People look at me and they just think I'm going to be biased towards abstract. But, I had a conversation with a couple other people, and I was digging around at other chains because I'm like, okay, well, what do some of these other chains have that provides a really good experience like this and has all these different apps or games or, experiences? And I didn't really get a ton of answers. Like, there's some good ones on some chains, but there's nothing that really dominates that. And I think the big part for abstract, what I've seen is mostly that conversation of, well, abstract's only raised 11 million, right? All these chains have so much money and so much funding. It really seems like it comes down to the funding conversation and the treasury conversation. So I'm excited to see that narrative change a little bit when that time comes.
But I think people need to look at that, once people get more clarity on that. Like, I don't think that's FUD. I think that's, holy shit, these guys built a thing comparable to these $5 and $10 billion joints with $1 billion treasuries, and they did it with 11 million. I think that's like a really bullish thing. I think that speaks to like the competency and the eliteness of the people behind this. It's elite, right? And until you guys know otherwise, right? Like, we only are doing this with an $11 million fundraise, and it's fucking impressive because nobody, I will tell you this, I haven't met a team who could do the same thing with 11 million bucks, right? It's like the same Pudgy Penguin story. Like, Pudgy Penguins is awesome, but like, no one would, I would think the story would be way lamer if we knew we made 300 million or 400 million. You'd be like, of course, duh. No, the story's dope because we did this with nothing and raised one $9 million seed round for it. And we basically competed at the highest level against people with hundreds of millions of dollars. And I don't say that to belittle the guys with hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm doing that because I'm saying that to empower my group they should be so proud of what they've been able to accomplish, right? Like, everybody who puts their blood, sweat, and tears into this, because the next guys are getting paid double what we're getting paid, right? Triple in some cases, have huge TIP packages and huge bonuses. And we're doing it with significantly less, and we're doing it at a higher caliber. And that's why
Yeah.
people should be bullish, right? Because it's like, dude, we are doing this by extracting the minimum, like we're so conscious of trying not to extract that, like, we, you know, and people will be like, well, raising from VC is not extraction. But on the flip side of it, I raise a big round and then I'm a VC chain and then everyone hates me again. Right. So which one do you want? Do you want a big VC chain with a big valuation? Or do you want to take my word and just look at the execution and be like, dude, you know, if you can do it without raising any money, do it without raising any money, because you look at us versus the next guy. Like, I've always said this, and it's the thing I'm the most proud about. But dollars in versus value created, Igloo Inc. is a top 3 team in crypto. Nobody puts more dollars in the bank from external variables, whether raising from community or venture. We've never raised from community, by the way, and created more value on the outset of it. That's relevant to abstract. There's no chain that's raised $11 million, less than $11 million that's created more value. Zero, right? Yeah. I mean, like, you can even see some of the comps today on the meme coins. Like, dude, like, you know, some of our meme coins took a battering, but dude, chains with hundreds of millions of dollars don't have higher meme coins. So
well, I want to ask you about that specifically, right? Because I was doing some digging. I was trying to go back at some other interviews, and I remember you saying specifically that you would be the champion and the leader for meme coins and IP on abstract. We haven't really seen that yet. I kind of want to understand what that looks like for you, right? How do you see yourself becoming the leader of these memes and IPs and NFTs?
So it is a really great question. And I probably, again, put the cart before the horse when I said that. And so I love that you're doing your research and holding me accountable. Well, my first step was I was going to mentor. And I started mentoring these guys. Everyone knows this. I did weekly NFT and weekly meme coin calls. Problem is I didn't see the fucking results that I wanted to see when I was doing those. And those took it, like, I'm really passionate and I gave those my all. And then I'm seeing, like, dude just stare into the screen. And I'm like, you know, like, after 3 months of that, I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. Right. And then I'm going to get upset. And then I'm one of those guys, man, that if I'm just doing that and you're not doing anything, I'm going to crash out. And that's going to make things way worse. So I was like, before I crash out, I got to stop that. Right. So I was going to lead by mentorship, was like kind of my first step. Then I was also going to lead by like integrations and things like that. But my thing is and I think you will still see this. I think you will still see Pudgy Penguins, the leveraging of Pudgy Penguins, the leveraging of Luca Nets to support those ecosystems. But I need to filter out who's a grifter and who's not. You saw some of this. Too many of these things were supply controlled, too many things, and which, if I were to do some of the things that I wanted to do from a public facing perspective, it would have enriched 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, right? Maybe 10, maybe 50, but it wouldn't have had the effect that I wanted, which is enriching thousands, right? I'm in the business of enriching thousands. I hope everybody listening believes that. That's indicative of our Pengu airdrop, both to our community and the abstract community, right? I love enriching people because you guys, you know, Igloo Inc. is a $1 billion company. So, you know, in retrospect, you guys have also enriched me on paper, right? I haven't gotten rich yet, but I'm banking on it, right? I'm banking on getting rich. And the whole playbook is because I'm enriching everybody else. It's karmic retribution, right? Huge fucking, you know, fundamental thing in life, karmic retribution. You do things for others, it'll come back to you tenfold. And so, like, I want that, but I also don't want to benefit like bundlers and dudes that are hogging all this. So these dips, again, these 90% drawdowns that some of these coins are facing, and I know it's like a root of a lot of the frustration, it's a great thing, right? If you believe, and I'll tell you, there's some big holders of some big bags going around in some of those coins. They're steadfast. They're not folding. They're not sweating because, like, I've been through this before, right? Yeah. And those things need it. The distribution needs to get better. And that just comes with time. And that just comes with people disbelieving and believing and disbelieving and that rotation cycle. But I'm very much, you know, I also came into this thinking we would have TG'd already, right? Like I would be thinking that this conversation, you know, I came into this a year ago thinking today, you know, this interview on this date would be a TG interview, right? So a lot of things have adjusted and changed. I think I still believe that if you're building memes and NFTs in crypto, that this is one of the, if not the best, you know, probably Solana's, true, I'm not going to be a fool and tell you building memes on abstracts probably better than Solana, at least not yet.
Yeah.
Right. But, and then maybe NFTs is better on ETH. But if you're like looking for like the second best, I'd probably put abstract around there, maybe the third, depending on which one you're referencing. BNB probably has a better meme ecosystem. But the point of the matter is, I think we're competing relatively. Right. And I do think over the course of time, and once these things start to fix themselves, the liquidity, the DeFi implementations that we've been doing to kind of like make sure that this ecosystem runs efficiently, I think me and this ecosystem in its final form, right? Like once it hits its peak and it's like, oh my God, they're hitting escape velocity, is going to be very, very competitive and across both of those facets, and probably the best, right? Because I think I can do for those guys, the guys that are serious at least. But like, man, I got so jaded. I did one call. I won't mention his name. I did one call with a guy, like literally 15, 20 calls, 30 minutes to an hour. And the dude fucking, he's still building it, but I'm not bullish, And it's like, I put so much, and then eventually I'm like, dude, I'm like building other people's businesses for them. And I'm like, that's not what I'm going to do. Right. Like, I'm not going to be an indentured servant to like abstract ecosystem founders who are getting my time, getting my asymmetric information, and then not going and executing on it. But there's a couple guys, mind you. So just so you know, there's a couple guys that I really know have that dog in them, that I am nurturing, that I am still talking to, and then they will get there. But there was the kind of this element in the beginning where like half of my week was independent calls with founders, giving them advice, and then waiting to see them weeks and months later implementing diddly squiddly. Right? Like literally diddly squiddly. I'm looking at that shit and I'm like, dude, what the fuck have you been doing this whole time? You wasted my time, right? Not only that, you're burning my community, which is now your community, on bullshit that like you said you would do, but then you're not doing. So I think it just takes a little, time, as unfortunate as it might sound for some people, is ultimately the best remedy. And if I think for some of the woes that I encountered, at least on that side of the spectrum, I think just it seemed like just kind of necessary that time just needs to bake out the fucking the people, the non-believers on the community side, and then the fucking grifters on the builder side, to ultimately give me who I think that final picture is. But there's a couple. I know you have a couple tokens that you put me onto that are building really great IPs.
Yeah.
There's a couple NFTs that are really doing it.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple guys that I think are really phenomenal, and also a couple guys that really let me down, if I'm being frank.
For sure. And I might have been too early in posting about this, but back in June, we had a similar period where everything, all the coins, all the IP retraced maybe like 90%. Now that period lasted like maybe a month and a half until, Gunnar went like from 2 mil down to like 300K, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, done. And then, like you said, once that period adjusted and showed that it was still here, ran a 10 mil, and I got the shit on Clemente and Easy for laughing at me. So, I think we're in a similar period for sure. It's a little longer, and it's like you said, now we're starting to see builders who show they don't have what it takes. They don't have that dog in them. They can't last that longer period and start to soft rug or hard rug. And it kind of brings me to just a question from your side, someone who has built, like what the strongest IP in crypto at this point. When you're looking at these projects, and whether it's NFTs, whether it's coins, whether it's games, what are the aspects that you see? Because I want to make it a point. You brought up, BNB and Solana. I think the interesting part about projects on abstract, whether it's coins or NFTs, they learned the Pudgy playbook from their beginning, from their launch, to build as an IP, not as a meme, not a viral moment, right? That is what has made abstract memes or whatever very different to me. And I feel comfortable buying and holding them because, whether it's, Abster or Cyclops or God the Dog or Goon, right? Like they're just focused on building something long-term from the beginning. What are the things, the traits, the aspects you look at projects that, you took heed in with Pudgy Penguins that makes something successful, that makes these IPs, these teams really have it in them?
Yeah, I love that you say that, and I totally agree with you. And I think that is what's going to make this ecosystem, once it hits escape velocity, great. I'll give you a piece of advice to answer your question, but it's respective on anything that you do, I think, in regards to making bets financially, whether it's a publicly traded company, whether it's a crypto token that's live today, whether it's an NFT project, whether it's a venture investment. The common denominator, and I've deployed millions of dollars everywhere, and I've lost millions of dollars everywhere. The common denominator for all my successes starts and stops with the founder. You either know they got it or they don't. And it's very easy to tell after a couple of weeks or months being in their community and in that, building that rapport. If you go the extra mile, which I hope everybody who's trying to get rich and isn't rich yet is going the extra mile underwriting their investments. And if you don't, then if you lose money, it's your fault and take accountability. But if you're investing in something and you're underwriting it, it starts and stops. I mean, dude, I've invested in shitty ideas where the founder was a killer. I literally made my best venture investment ever exited 5 months ago. And I told Peter this, who's Chef Goyardee. I told him, I told him, I was like, dude, this business should have failed. This idea kind of sucked. And I literally turned 20 G's into like $6 million. Wow. And it was a venture investment. And it should have never won. It should have never, ever won. But the guy was a dog. And all the ones I made money from comes down from the guy or the team. Really starts from the top down. It has to be a dog, dude. Something has to drive them. It has to be ego or competitive nature or financial, wanting to be rich, whatever, changing their families' lives, whatever that drive is. But you can tell. Right. And so that's why I think a lot of people, one of my frustrations early on with NFTs was everyone was playing the pretty picture game. And I was like, you guys are so obsessed with your pretty pictures. You guys are not looking behind the scenes and seeing who's a dog. And that early on, that was like my sell to a lot of the whales. I was like, dude, you love your community. I get that. And you love the pretty picture. You have an affinity to that picture. But I'm so much more of a dog than that guy. Right. And, time has told that, like, this is like first year at Pudgy when I was really just trying to, sell the thing. Time has showed that, like, that was the common denominator. And so that's what I encourage everybody to look at. Like, if something is failing, I promise you, just look no further than the CEO, right? There's nobody else to hate. I just swear. There's nobody else. I can tell you all the bullshit on Abstract, and I can tell you all the great shit on Abstract, and I can tell you it all starts and stops with the guy, with the main guy. Right. And it's his fault. Nobody else's, Yeah.
And I think, like, for me, what I've looked at is the ability to, and I know the joke with Frank D. God is, we tried something, whatever. But when I look at some of the top projects or the top founders, whether in Web 2 or Web 3, it seems like it's also the ability to, I don't want to say pivot, but it's people who are willing to see what works or what doesn't, cut the head off of something and pick the part that they really succeed at. But they never give up when they're hitting a wall and nothing's working, right? Like they're finding the strong suit or they're willing to change it a bit.
I'll give you a clip, man. But what they did to Frank D. Gods is one of the great travesties in crypto. I swear. And I know everything. I know I was so behind the scenes. All of the claim, like, I literally knew everything. I can tell you guys this genuinely. I wouldn't even bring it up if I felt otherwise, because I wouldn't throw him under the rug. Right. Just because, like, there's no need to beat him down if I thought he was wrong. I know all the context. That man was done so bad. And he was one of the great founders, I promise. And I think people just don't understand the variables of what it is to build a business, having partners, having co-founders, expectations, things ripping to the moon and having to meet it, personal constraints. But I pray he comes back and builds in the space again, because I promise you, he was one of the greats. And no matter what anybody says, I hope that anyone who respects me believes me when I say this. I've underwritten that whole situation and heard from every person at the table, even to the bullshit claims that he was caballing. Dude, I remember being in this house one day, and I remember the timeline being like, Frank D. Gods is back at it again, scamming everyone, inside. And he's literally on the couch, like, I lost so much money. How did I lose so much money? What are we going to do to save the money? Are we going to take over the Twitter? I'm like, that's not the guy who's scamming. Yeah. He's buying like the rest of you, and he's buying more, and he's down bad, and he's trying to, like, save his bag. It was just really, and it was great because I saw that behind the scenes duality, because I was like, the timeline was literally like, Frank Cabal back at again, trying to pump and scam this token. And I see him on the couch, not even reading those tweets because at the time he was just off to X. And I'm literally like seeing him being like, bro, we're gonna lose so much money on this. Like, how do I save this? We gotta get the login to the X and we gotta log in and we gotta run the page and we gotta market this shit. And he was down $1 million, you know, and you know, I think he ended up losing like 400 or 500 G's, but that's not the look of a guy who's like insider pumping and dumping. He just did that kid wrong, man. It really did.
Yeah, I mean, he's been having a crazy run on FOMO, like the app, and people can see live, and it's not even like low market cap stuff; it's high market cap stuff. So
you gotta get
whether
cracked on FOMO. I'm working on it. Come on, Paul. Come on, say.
I brought me and some friends have been trying to get them to add it. We're waiting. Yeah,
it's sooner rather than later. I don't think you're gonna wait months for that.
Okay, hey, Alpha. I mean, also shout out to Loot as well. Loot's a great trading platform. I'm begging them to make a mobile app though.
Yeah, but Loot is epic. I'm like a big fan of Loot. I think Hunter's a killer. Hunter, exactly. Yeah. I would take a bet on Hunter because Hunter's a killer.
Yeah, I mean, he's been here for literally since I got to crypto in the very beginning. So he's one of the guys who hasn't left, and you know they'll keep trying stuff no matter what. You know, I wanted to talk about something. I won't go too much into depth about it, but you know, I would say it's kind of a common consensus over the last half a year that your public you know, exposure, your public presence with Abstract was pretty not active compared to like the very, very early days, right? But within the last 30 days, it feels like everything has shifted, right? Abstract's output, whether it's updates to the portal, whether it's partnerships, whether it's like new additions, your voice, your persona has become so much stronger in regards to Abstract. And you know, it seems like a tide has shifted, and I kind of want to understand, you know, what really triggered that. And the last 30 days have been great, but what does that next 30, 60, 90 days look like for Abstract?
Yeah, I think just you know, one of the problems with that like little lull period was I really did the Abstract team a disservice. Now, naturally, you know, I don't do all of the work that goes on right at Pudgy. I'm like really just the forward-facing guy that like regurgitates information to the front to the best of my ability to champion people, rile people up, communicate that message, address FUD if there's any, right? Like I'm really just the liaison between community and world and company and product. My problem with Abstract is like I'm not a super savvy technical guy. I mean, I understand a lot, but I'm not a builder, and I don't understand it well enough to know how much time things take. And so what I started to do is I started to pigeonhole the Abstract team, specifically the engineering team, into like expectations and deadlines that the community was holding them accountable for. And I was actually creating more problems than I was solutions, right? And so on one side of the spectrum, like Abstract August was supposed to be a big thing. I could tell you all the things that were supposed to happen in Abstract August. Abstract August not shake out the way it was supposed to, but it was because of other constraints that we couldn't control, right? Like we're not going to go and put people at risk and the platform at risk and do things that are going to compromise and create a real disaster, right? Like and naturally, like I was doing more harm than good. And so my solution was Pengu was pumping at the time. Focus on Pengu. Let's hit this thing home, right? I thought, frankly, quarter four was going to be an epic run up, like just finger to the wind. It felt like the market was going to send. It felt like it was going to pop soon, right? But I didn't think it was going to pop. I was thinking like it was do the same thing as last year, like it was going to blow up in January. I was kind of ready for that. I didn't think it was going to blow up sooner than that. So I got a little upset because I was like, oh, I'm ready for this big run up. You know, Saigar and team are cooking, they're engineering. We just should take Pengu to the moon. I knew that Pengu going to the moon would help Abstract, right? Because I'd seen that already, right? So I was like, okay, the best thing I can do for Abstract right now is shut the fuck up and just, you know, send Pengu to the moon. And like, that's going to help a lot. That's going to help, you know, that's the best that I could do at that time. And so I just wanted to communicate to the community. Obviously, I communicated this to you in private. Like, that's kind of why I took that lull period. I think as of recently, those guys just been on a clinic. And it's back to clinic mode. I mean, in the early, you know, first couple of months, I mean, there's this narrative that like we're completely like in the dark for like 8 months. Like, let's just be real. Like there was 3 months where you guys didn't get the same cadence that we were usually on, 3-4 months, but like first couple of months, these, now these next couple, like we've been on a hot streak. And I think we're just now back into that early groove. What we're going to see again, I'm not going to shoot ourselves in the foot to this point. Like I'm not going to create more problems and solutions, but I think you're going to see us get back to Igloo Inc. quality cadence, which is just ship, deliver, moments, announcements, just back to our regular programming. And I got one more for you, Ellie, because I do have to.
Wait, okay, wait, whoa. Chat, no, okay. Running joke. It's Eli.
Is it?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry, dude.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It happens literally every single time.
I'm dyslexic and I always get words. So if I do that again, I probably knew it was. I probably knew it was the difference, but just so you know, like that's one of my big like mental disconnects. I have really bad problems with names. So if I do that again, I apologize.
It's okay. It's 10 out of 10 at this point. Okay, let's hear the one more thing because I know you got to go.
Well, you hit me with it. I got nothing else. I'm just saying I got one more thing. I got
okay.
One more
Yeah, for sure. So, man, I don't know if I want to waste it because I know the answer is going to happen. You've danced around quantum quite a bit. You said that the community would probably guess what it is to a degree, but I haven't really seen any real guesses. Is it possibility to get a small hint at what quantum could be?
It's institutionally oriented. So if you want to figure it out, at some point you'll be able to look to the eyes of the institutions and you should see your answer.
Okay. Hey, that's all I needed to hear. Luca, thanks so much, man. Really looking forward to next week with Pudgy and all the events. And, there's an announcement. It's not announced what I'm doing for Abstract yet, but it's going to be fun. I'm excited. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to do it again at some point.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. How was that? Look, I think that was pretty good. I got to hold him over 14 minutes. It was 30 minutes long. But I think I got to squeeze out some more stuff. The quantum thing is good. I think what we've seen for quantum as far as speculation has been that has to do with fundraising or TGE, but now we kind of know that quantum is an institutional play. So I think that's really interesting. But look, I hope you guys had fun. I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time. I just never reached out. I never tried getting it. So I'm glad I did right before Art Basel. I hope you guys get good clips. Yeah, I think we hit all-time high, 156 viewers. Can someone take a picture? Can someone take a screenshot real quick of how many viewers? Because I'm kind of hype. I wasn't even looking. But yeah, I hope you guys got some good clips. I think, look, Luca, I think has kind of shown that he's locking in more with Abstract, and talking a bit about how he pigeonholed them made a lot of sense to me. I wasn't really aware of that, but it makes sense. He's not a technical guy. If you make promises, then you kind of corner your dev team into doing things that they might not be ready for. So look, I'm excited. I think we've seen the bottom of Abstract. I really do. Now, as far as prices and as far as sentiment, like for me, sentiment wise, I feel like we've bottomed at this point. Will we? No, I'm not shaving my head. I probably will. Honestly, no, I'm not going to say it. But look, yeah, anyways, hope you guys had fun. Look, we'll answer some questions for a few seconds if you guys want. How much XP did you get for that stream? Not enough. I forgot to ask him how much XP he got. Eli, can you smile? What do you mean? I always smile. Go bald for Abstract? No. But I am doing something for Abstract next week. Not anything like crazy, but it's something fun. So I'm excited for that. You will shave your head at Art Basel? No. Any TGE details? We don't know the date. Am I single? Yeah. What's going on next week? Art Basel is next week in Miami. It's gonna be really fun. Art Basel is always a really, really good time. But I hope, look, is that the same hat, man? No, all right. So Mungo is on X chat, but Mungo is part of the Pudgy Penguin team. And 2 years ago at Art Basel, I took Mungo's Pudgy Penguin hat, and I still have it to this day. But no, this is not it. This is a pink igloo. I also felt really corny that me and Luca both were wearing Pudgy hats because I felt like a paid shill at that point. I just wanted to wear a hat. I need an abstract hat. That's what I need. Yeah, no, I meant what's the event going on at Art Basel? For abstract, there's no main event from what I know, but abstract's representing in a different event, which is going to be sick. How much did he pay you? Ah, dude, I mean like billions of dollars. It's crazy. I'm rich now. But look, I hope Clippers got some good content out of that. If I see you guys clip stuff on X, I'm just gonna retweet it. So make sure to tag me and Luca in it. I'm really hype. Billions will huddle. Yeah, billions will huddle. Also, billions will appear in my bank account. He gets paid in abstract XP and Gigaverse stubs. I think I'm all right on XP. I don't need any more XP. Is Art Basel worth going to alone? Dude, Art Basel, I cannot explain to you guys more right now. Art Basel is the best event of the year. It's not even close. And I will tell you why. Art Basel is not a crypto event. It is a massive event in Miami. It's music, it's partying, it's networking, it's connecting. There's crypto stuff there too. There's sports stuff too. Crypto probably makes up maybe like 5% of all of Art Basel, which that's what makes it really fun. It's not like a meet and greet networking thing, a dick measuring competition between crypto people. Am I going alone? I mean, I live in South Florida. I've been going before I even knew what crypto was. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a blast. The whole city's lit. Yeah, no, it's lit. So I would look. Pudgy Penguins are gonna have an event. I think there's less crypto stuff now that a lot of crypto projects died in the last 4 years. But the ones that are there are a blast. Be my Basel date? No, I'm going single. Suck it. But yeah, look, fuck. I have a meeting in like 20 minutes. All right, I have a meeting in like 20 minutes, so I can hang out for like a little bit more. Clip the Project Quantum hint. Yeah, dude, I think it's a good. I think that was a good clip. Again, if you guys clip shit, I'll retweet it. So go make your clips. You can go with me. I'm single. No, I'm okay. Thank you though. Dude, I hit 100. So wait, what was the highest amount? It was 165 viewers on Abstract. That for me, that's a record. That broke all the other streams I've done, which is sick. Which is really cool. We'll meet up with people there. I mean, look, I'll be there. I'll hang out with you guys. I'm not gonna act too cool to hang out with you guys. I mean, I'll be busy. This is the first year, guys. This is the first year where I don't want to say like I'm somebody, right? But this is the first year where I feel like I have value now. Whereas before, I knew people, stuff like that, and it was fun to go to events, but now I actually have people reaching out to me to be at events or to partake in different things. So this is probably going to be the most busy I've ever been at an event. And I'm really, really excited. Like I get to be a little productive, right? There's a sport event thing that I'm going to be a part of. A couple events, one that I'm going to be speaking at. I'm not famous, but no, I'm not high demand. No, but it's like I'll be here. I'll be let me be pretty like vulnerable with you guys for a second. When I first this is beginning of my history in crypto. So this is a little bit of like transparency. When I first got into crypto, it was almost 2 weeks before NFT NYC in 21. I got into crypto, I bought my first NFT or whatever, and I randomly saw something on X saying NFT NYC. And I saw, oh, Bored Apes are going to be there. All these big influencers are going to be there. All this kind of stuff. And I was at the point in my life where I didn't know what I was going to do. I was trying to figure out where my life was going to take me. And it was very unlike me, but it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. And I said, fuck it. I'm going to buy an NFT NYC ticket. I'm going to buy a plane ticket. And I flew to New York in like 5 hours. All right. The flight was like in 5 hours. I bought the ticket, flew there. And I was at NFT NYC and I'm like, look, I don't know anyone in crypto. I didn't know a single person. I didn't know a single person. I didn't stay with anyone. I didn't know any event that was going on. I just showed up to New York. I showed up to like events early, and I was just trying to hang out, network, meet people, but I didn't have any value. It was just like me trying to be someone, but I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have any value to give. And I think the hard part about life sometimes is realizing that, especially in business and finance for sure, is it's transactional and you can't take it personal, right? People, their time is valuable, their work is valuable. And if you don't have something to really offer them, they don't really have a reason to hang out with you or do stuff with you or to partner with you, right? It's like I showed up to NFT and YC at events and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm Eli. What's up, dude? Oh, what do you do? I just bought an NFT and that's it. Like they're like, okay, cool. See ya. I didn't have a purpose. So it's really crazy to me to finally be at a place in crypto specifically where now I have a reason for people to want to network, for people to want to have me at events, to, you know, it feels really different. So, you know, I'm just excited. I think it's cool after 4 years to, I'm not going to say I've had friends over time and I've built relationships and, you know, I'm proud of them and they were really great. But it's cool after like 4 years to finally see myself find a niche or find something in this space where I can stand out and have value to give to people and go to events. And like genuinely, it's I know it's like the corny shit, but like it really is because of you guys. And you know, whether it's tuning into streams, supporting, you know, tweets or whatever, you know, I appreciate it a lot. And I hope that this time on Abstract with you guys or on any other chain, that I've been able to give you guys some value or entertainment or whatever. So that's me kind of being vulnerable for a moment. Really appreciate you guys. And I hope that stream was good. I don't want to make this about me. It was a Luca stream. But what niche did you discover at first? It was Web3 gaming. So most people kind of here know, I think, but the original way I blew up on crypto Twitter was with a persona called the Rat King. And it was through this project called Neo Tokyo. And that's kind of how I got bigger originally. And then from there, I kind of moved into doing music in Web3, which was, if you're a masochist, you'll do music in Web3. You will. If you like pain, if you like suffering, if you like being made fun of by literally every single person, make music in Web3. So how long did it take you to learn? Well, I mean, I've been here for 4 years now. So 4 years. But I will say the where I failed, which I really hope people don't fail. This is like a really, really big thing for anyone out there who's trying to build a brand or not even build a brand, but to survive. Is that, you know, I went through a really hard period where I got burned really bad and I lost a lot of money and people stole from me and I lost my brand and music was failing. And you know what I did? I sulked for like almost like half a year. I sulked. I didn't do anything new. I didn't keep trying things. I didn't keep trying to adapt. And it's kind of like what Luca said, right? It's the best founders. It's the guys with the people with the dog in them who don't give up, who keep trying to reiterate or find new ways to push through. And I didn't have that. I gave up. And that's like probably my biggest regret. And well, no, I have a lot of regrets in crypto, but that's like one of my biggest regrets in crypto is that I spent like 6 months doing nothing but sitting and trying to trade meme coins and not doing anything, not trying anything, not fighting that sulking period. And then I finally did. And guess what? I decided, all right, I'm going to create an abstract. And it's been up since then. And that kind of, to me, that's a lesson. If something's not working for you, if you got burned on a trade, if you're not growing as a creator, something failed or whatever, you keep trying something new. Like literally that's it. You keep trying because nothing will happen if you don't do it. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's the honest truth. Like, look, I'm down so much on abstract meme coins. Like realistically, a lot of people know the amount, but I'm down life-changing amount. And I sulked for like a few days, but I've instilled enough at this point to where, okay, sulking's done. I have to move on. I have to keep creating. I have to keep doing stuff. And so, yeah, that's Okay, that was like a monologue and a half. But I have 3 more minutes before I have my meeting. So sometimes we have to hit the bottom to bounce back. Yeah, for sure. There's people who need friends and chat, so you guys can become friends. Money comes and goes. It's not just money, but yeah, money, but it's also the sense of guilt. People don't really talk about the sense of guilt that comes with round tripping. People get upset, people get angry that they're down money, but for me it was a sense of guilt that I don't like. I'm not in a position to round trip this much. I'm not in a position to not take any profit. Like, what am I doing? I'm failing the people that depend on me. I'm failing the people that are surrounded by me, right? Like those are the thoughts that were going through my head, that I failed the people around me because I didn't take profit, because I round tripped, and it got to me. It got to me. You know, it's how can I provide for my loved ones if I round trip? And so those are the thoughts in my head. But whatever. Stopped crying, tied my shoes, and got back to it. You know, even today, I took a burn on a trade today, and I said, okay, well now I got to interview Luca. Fuck it, move on. You know, good to interview Ellie, dude. Oh my god, I can't believe he called me Ellie. Oh man, it's crazy that we cannot get a guest to come on and call me Eli. It is Ellie every time. I can't believe he called me Ellie. I'm a little livid. Can you pronounce your name Eli? Yeah, it's Eli. Ellie clip gonna slap. Nah, all right, don't, please don't. Dude. Oh my god. How will you call me Ellie? I know that Ely is not a normal spelling. It's usually Eli. But come on, dude. I still, dude, when we popped on the stream and I had my pudgy hat and he had his pudgy hat, I just felt so corny. He popped up and literally before I started the stream, I was like, fuck, why am I wearing this hat? He's like, oh, it's a great hat. I'm like, this is gonna look so dumb. Um, dude, I was so mad. I just had a bad hair day. I looked at myself in the camera and I was like, okay, my hair's gotten a little too long. I think it's time to cut it. When TGE, I don't know. Double pudgy hats brings in the yeah. It was also set on the fly. I would do the same. I I mean, bro, I have some other hats, but they don't really like. This one's kind of like butchered. Like I sat on it and put a whole dent in it. My hair has gone to the point where it is so long that there's nothing I can do. It is just too long. How do I still have 72 like viewers on Abstract? Well, what? I can't believe you guys stayed for me. That's crazy. Give one igloo hat, dude. I have two igloos hats. All right, look. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna wear my. Wait, I'll show you. Yeah, I'm wearing sweatpants. Fuck off. I was gonna wear my pudgy hundreds jacket, and then I was like, okay, well now I look like a straight pudgy penguin shill, and I can't do an interview like this because then it looks like it's like, hey, Ellie, you want to come interview me, make me look kind of good. I mean, it goes hard though. It just sucks that I live in South Florida and I can never wear this. I'm doing a hundred thing. Wait, what do you mean? Like you're collabing with the hundreds? You are a straight shill, and we are here for it. Embrace the pengu side, brother. Nah, but like I'm not. Like I am when I'm passionate about something. Go to the meeting, brother. Oh fuck. I don't want to though. I haven't had this many viewers in such a long time. It sucks. I don't want to. I don't want to end it. Wait, let me check. Wait. Let me double check. Wait, let me double check. Let me double check to make sure that my meeting is at 4 or 4:30. This is why This is why I need an assistant. The jacket's good. No, the jacket's great. I just can't ever wear it because it's South Florida, dude. Like it's really hot. Wait, fuck. All right, guys, I'm just gonna end it. As much as I want to enjoy the viewers and hang out with you guys and all that, I probably should go be a responsible person and attend my meeting. But all right, love you guys so much. When are we golfing? Are we golfing during Art Basel or not? Unfortunately, I'm going to be doing something. If you're paying attention to Twitter, you know what that something is. So I don't know if I will be able to play golf outside of it. Also, because I fucked up my shoulder really, really bad playing golf. And I'm trying to save it for just that one thing. But okay. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching the interview. I hope I did a great job for you guys. You know, it's hard to really get a lot of groundbreaking alpha out of Luca at these moments, but I think I did a good enough job. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys a lot. And I will see you on the next stream. Talk to me on X. I'll be there. Apparently I can't ever put my phone down. See ya.